I'm back at the BMW Group's training center just outside of New Delhi, the same place where this car made its India debut, the iX, the first electric from BMW for our market. Now, today I get a chance to finally drive this car. Yes, I've been itching to do it, but you know what? I'm not calling this a review simply because, well, we get a very limited run on driving it today. So don't be fooled by anyone telling you that this is a review. It's just a first drive because, well, we showed you the first look and now it's the first drive experience that we're going to bring you.
The iX is based on BMW's CLAR or cluster architecture platform with its carbon core that powers all rear-wheel drive BMWs. The structural elements are made from high-strength steel and recycled aluminium, while there's extensive use of carbon fiber too. The reason BMW has gone with an SUV as its flagship EV is clear: the popularity of the body style and the rival EVs like the Mercedes EQC, Audi e-tron, Tesla Model X and Jaguar I-Pace.
The iX comes in a bunch of colors, of course, but this particular one is a BMW individual shade, which means you have to specially order it. It's called Aventurine Red, and it also goes kind of with this gold bronze kind of trim that you see on the grille and all of these metal elements across the car. Of course, the alloy wheel pattern is also specific to this car. It's a high energy efficient alloy, but it doesn't have the gold inserts, thank God.
But the big idea today is not to discuss the features or design. No, sir. The focus today is to tell you how the BMW iX drives. In India, we're getting the iX xDrive 40, the less powerful of the two variants available globally.
For me now, there's been a slew of electrics I've been driving, and so this doesn't feel foreign or different for that reason. As a BMW, sure, it does feel different, and you know what, of course it's going to. I think the first thing you have to get used to when you get into the iX is the shape of the steering wheel. It's not round, and that is something different for sure, because even when you're making a tight turn, which I'll admit, today I'm not doing too many of them, but I have tried to do a little bit of a higher speed stop, turn and run, and yeah, the wheel certainly feels different, like that. Now I'd imagine that this would feel a little odd driving with this shape of a steering wheel, but having done it now for a couple of times, it's not difficult at all. In fact, in many ways it's nicer. The hexagonal wedges actually give you a nicer traction when you're turning, but it's all a matter of getting used to, and now I realize that I'm going on and on about the wheel, so let me tell you other things as well.
The iX has a 76.6 kilowatt-hour battery which is placed low in the floor. There are two motors, one on each axle. The combined power output stands at 322 bhp, while the car's top speed is 200 kilometers per hour.
Depending on how you drive this car, what your driving character is, what mode you're in, and also the conditions, BMW claims a driving range that goes from 372 to 425 kilometers on a full charge. Here in India, the expectation is that it should still touch about 400, says BMW India. That part is something I can't test today.
Charging the battery is possible on AC and DC chargers. The car comes with the 11 kilowatt BMW wall box for an overnight charge. Fast charging is possible on a maximum 150 kilowatt fast charger.
I'm driving the car in sport mode. You get personal, which is like an individual mode, and then you also have efficient, which is where most electric cars should stay. But today I'm going to be shameless and try and keep it in sport throughout, because it's a really short, tiny distance that I'm getting to drive. In sport mode, the acceleration is fantastic. I have already done a nice quick burst to 100 kilometers per hour, because the good part of being in a controlled environment is that I don't have to worry about anybody coming in my way. There's no traffic. Yes, it can do 0 to 100 in 6.1 seconds. So I'd heard from a lot of my European colleagues, people who have driven the car extensively, that the one thing about the iX that really stands out is how it doesn't drive like an SUV, and it's really fast. First impression, they weren't kidding.
On the safety front, the iX gets 8 airbags, brake assist, cruise control with braking function. There's also the tire pressure monitoring system, dynamic stability control, driver assist features like lane change warning with active return, blind spot detection, front collision warning, auto braking, and some of these features are mDrive systems, but the iX gets them as standard. There's one more thing that adds a zing to the iX, and that's the all-wheel drive system. The advanced all-wheel drive or xDrive is intelligent enough to provide traction when needed.
The electric xDrive, that's something new from BMW because of course it works like an all-wheel drive system, but this car maintains its rear bias because it is a BMW. And the good part though is that there is torque on demand on all four wheels. The car senses the kind of traction requirement the situation presents and then sends accordingly the power and torque to each of the four wheels. And that is pretty much how the regular xDrive works, so it's nice that that's been carried over to the electric universe as well.
The iX is the foundation to it all because it stays true to what you expect from a BMW SUV. In 2021, BMW brought out 3 all-electric cars in Europe, the iX3, i4 and the iX, and these are now being launched in markets worldwide. In the near future, you're going to see an electric 7 Series, 5 Series, and even the X1 is going EV. Mini will go all electric soon, and there's even the first ever electric Rolls-Royce coming soon called Spectre.
The iX has the electro-chromatic roof. It goes a little bit transparent and otherwise goes opaque at the touch of a button. It's a nice touch. Alright, speaking of a nice touch, I am now putting the car into sport and making sure that everything is on its most hyper performance oriented driving mode. Alright, the reason? Well, I wanted to see how it feels in terms of not just how it stiffens up, but also its handling. Oh yes. I don't know who had put it in sport settings before me and pretty much dulled it all down to comfort. Now the steering feels nice and stiff. Now the throttle and the suspension also feel exceedingly different. I like it. It's a lot more BMW-like now, I can tell you.
Yes, sport mode is no doubt where the iX's true credentials shine. Though again, a longer, more comprehensive drive would be the better way to really be able to judge that.
I've tried to get an impression driving this car in different modes. Of course, I still need a nice long drive. You can understand that. But I'm going right back to sport mode. What's interesting about sport mode is that even the seats kind of tighten up. The whole car almost sends you this very obvious message that it's ready for performance. Now, that happens in many cars, right? You get the throttle response that changes, the suspension, the steering. But on a car like this, which is trying to send out a message and also stand by its claim of being a true BMW, that's an important touch. So I'm happy with the handling and the ride quality. Well, okay, it's a luxury segment offering, so the good part is that nobody's going to be disappointed on that front either. There's a little drive mode here. You know, when you put the car in D for drive, you can also put it in B. And I was a little flummoxed as to what that is, but that's the brake energy recuperation mode. So there's no paddles to set different grades of brake energy regeneration. What you can do is put it into B, and then that gives you the single pedal driving experience that you get so used to on all things electric.
At 1 crore 16 lakh rupees, the iX is not cheap, It does come as a completely built unit, but the fact that the first lot has already been sold out shows that there is good demand. In fact, the second round of bookings for the car will open sometime in the first quarter of this year. And yes, we may also get the xDrive 50 variant with its 111 kWh battery and 520 bhp output next year. But first, we're going to get the i4 sedan, which arrives around June.
Leather everywhere, a giant curved screen, the first time BMW's ever done one like that. That steering wheel, which isn't of course round, and a little bit of subtle wood and glass that's been thrown in. Very different design for a BMW cabin for sure. More on this, well, you'll get more details which obviously didn't cover in this first drive because we've already done that on our first look. That was the static look at the car. So go to our YouTube channel and you will find all these details about the car right there in another video.